Welcome to Seltzer Squad, the podcast about staying sober in the city, with your hosts, Kate Sander and Jess Valentine.
Hey Squad, Natalie here, editor and producer of Seltzer Squad. Today's episode is sponsored by BetterHelp.com. I don't know about you, but it feels like everyone today is going to therapy, and I've heard nothing but good things about it. How they're like, you really should go to therapy. It's great. And you're like, I don't know. It's expensive. I don't know when I'm going to go. I don't know when I'm going to fit it into my schedule. Don't put it off any longer. Go to BetterHelp.com. It is more convenient and cheaper than conventional therapy. You will be paired with a licensed professional therapist. Just take their short quiz. They'll pick someone for you. But if you don't like your therapist, you can switch at any time. You can video chat, call, or just message. Go to betterhelp.com/seltzersquad or use code seltzersquad at checkout to get 10% off your first month. Hey everyone, if you're a fan of the show and want to support us and get more content for yourself, go to patreon.com/seltzersquad to find even more content. There are 2 tiers. If you're Princess FOMO, for $2.99 a month, you can get early access to episodes on Wednesdays instead of Fridays. And for $4.99 a month, if you're a former hot mess, you can get that plus video episodes of every episode that comes out. In addition, we even put bonus surprise content. For both tiers, go to patreon.com/seltzersquad. Help support us and get extra surprise content for yourself.
Hey, Squad. Hey, Lori.
Hello.
This episode's going to be a little bit different because I'm flying solo. Jess had to deal with some stuff, so it's just going to be you and me. I hope that's okay.
Super excited.
Well, Squad, I want to welcome Lori Harlan, a Squad member who I met through the Seltzer Squad, and we became really close, and then I fell down a grad school troll hole, and I genuinely haven't connected with you in months, but we were talking a lot, and so I want to check in with you, and I want to get your story on your sobriety, because you're pandy sober, right? You got sober during the pandemic? Right before? I can't remember.
Pre-COVID. Okay. Yeah, December.
So walk us through it. Start from the beginning.
Yes. So I got sober December 30th, 2019, pre-COVID. It had been a long time coming. I was a blackout binge drinker, not a daily drinker, didn't interrupt my life necessarily. And the fact that I had a good job, I had a good family, everything looked normal from the outside, but I was a hot mess and could share a lot of stories for that, but I won't. But my daughter was 12, and at some point she said, I really don't want you to drink. I think you need to stop. And I had embarrassed her in front of her friends, which really hard to look back on. And I had tried to quit once in the spring of 2019. And I went about 3 months, white knuckling, no real resources, didn't really know what I was doing, just thought I needed to quit. Got 3 months sober, said, okay, clearly I don't have a problem. I can go full throttle back to where I was.
Cured. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. See, I told you I didn't have a problem. So I started drinking again, drank all that summer and fall, but I knew in the back of my mind that I had a problem. And that 3 month was kind of a taste of what life could be like without alcohol.
Did you think that you had a problem before that?
Oh God, yeah. I've known my entire adult life.
Really? When did you get that? When did you have that thought?
Probably grad school. So I didn't drink a lot I've been married a really long time. And I went to college and then got married and then went to grad school. And I think in grad school, I really started binge drinking and kind of making up for lost time, because I lived at home while I went to college and didn't have that normal college experience and got married pretty young. And then in grad school, I started making up for lost time, and I drank a lot. And my entire adult life, I've known I don't drink like other people. I drink to excess. I'll drink everything there is. I'll drink till the lights go out. And, the older I got, the harder that got to maintain. And my daughter saw a lot of stuff I wish she hadn't seen. And so when she point blank said, I want you to stop drinking, message received. And so that was in the fall of 19, I knew I was kind of building up to it and had decided that I was going to do dry January. I wasn't really committed to say I'll never drink again. And I've never been to AA, so I kind of figured it out on my own.
But you quit before the holidays. What was that like? Well, you quit in between.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because my daughter was having a sleepover on New Year's Eve and I didn't want to embarrass her.
Yeah.
And so 12:30 was, I had 2 beers on December 30th. So that was my last time I drank, and called it dry January. Really didn't tell a lot of people, short of maybe my husband. And I don't think I told him that like, this is a forever thing. I did dry January. I signed up for the Annie Grace 30-day live alcohol experiment, which is really good. Highly recommend that.
During the dry January or like after?
During dry January. Yeah. That was really kind of my tool that got me through that month. And, the first probably 90 days are really hard. And then COVID hit. Like, we went into lockdown. We were in a pandemic. It didn't feel like I had to hide from people or turn down social invitations because there were none.
Mm-hmm.
So really that whole year, 2020, I didn't drink and I didn't go anywhere. And my work was pretty normal because I work in healthcare. And so when other people were really in lockdown, I was still going to work every day.
Yep.
But would come straight home and not drink. And I created a new routine. I would come home and make hot tea instead of my normal routine. We'd come home and open a beer without even thinking about it. So I started making hot tea. That was my new routine. Sometimes kombucha in a wine glass if I was feeling fancy.
Mm-hmm.
But just something to break the routine and create a new pattern.
What did it feel like the second 90 days, like after the first time where you did it for 3 months?
I was relieved to be in a pandemic. I was relieved to just be able to cocoon at home and isolate and not draw attention to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I felt very raw and exposed, and like my skin was inside out. I just needed to be in my own little shell for a while. And that turned out to last longer than any of us thought it would. So toward the end of 2020, I thought, I can't hide forever, and I'm not embarrassed by this journey. And I was listening to your pod and a couple of others, and really just felt empowered by the fact that I was seeing and hearing these people who said, my life is fun and full and rich and exciting and normal. And I felt a little guilty that I was kind of hiding out and a little bit shameful.
Yeah, you were like secret sober, which I get.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. And the pandemic made it so easy. So then I decided I would launch a website, as one does when they have a big announcement to make. And so
as one does when they get sober.
What else am I going to do? I have all of this free time.
Yeah.
There are 100 hours in every day. So, I can do whatever. So I had built this website, zero experience building websites. I just went to GoDaddy, built a site, and launched it on my 1-year anniversary. And then I announced it on social media. And I ran to my bed, literally ran to my bed and pulled the covers over my head and just
why? Because you were
waited
nervous?
for the fallout.
Totally.
Yes, I was a mess. I was outing myself to everybody at the same time.
Did it feel good though? Kind of.
Well, the night before, I thought, I can't do this. I'm not going to. My website was built. It was beautiful. It was ready to go. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to bed and I slept on it. And then I woke up and I'm like, fuck it. I'm doing this. I'm owning this. I've worked so hard this past year. People need to know. So I hit launch or whatever the button is. I don't know. And ran to my bed. And then my phone started blowing up. And I was getting all this support from people. I found out people who I know are sober, but I didn't know they were sober. They've been on the DL. So they kind of outed themselves to me. I heard from people who don't have a drinking problem, but were just understanding and supportive. I heard from...
Did you hear from any people that surprised you?
Yeah. I heard from... yes, I did. I don't want to say too much.
Of course. Yeah.
Out them. But
I think I wasn't ready for that with random people that I didn't even know were watching or paying attention that would reach out, and I'd be like, oh wow.
Yes. And the opposite is
some small impact.
Yes. And the opposite is true too. I didn't hear from some really close friends. And
totally.
That silence is very telling,
Mm-hmm.
I heard from people who shared other vulnerabilities. I heard, somebody said, I'm having this financial issue after my divorce. Had nothing to do with drinking, but it's just, I think, a matter of being seen. If you admit that you are in pain or you're having a problem or struggle, people want to, share that and
especially if it's an inside struggle. If you're not sick or, in a car accident or you lost your house in a fire, that people really can easily sympathize and empathize with outwardly. But
there's a lot going on that's invisible.
Yeah. But if it's a shame, an inside problem, there's shame immediately.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. So I heard from a couple of people like that, which was really interesting. But overall, I got really great feedback, and it was nerve-wracking. I mean, I told my story very public. My mother-in-law, my friends, my coworkers, everybody was getting the same story at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But that to me was a moment of liberation because I'd been living a double life. I'd always been living a double life. I was living the heavy drinker life
Mm-hmm.
and then the successful Lori life. And then it became hidden sober Lori and then the normal Lori or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It just felt like an integration. Like, this is an opportunity for me. I'm one person with all my flaws. I found a solution to my problem. I'm telling my story. Take it for what it is.
Yep.
And that was really a moment where it just felt like a release and a way.
Did you expect to get hate? I feel like I expected to get hate, and I don't know why, because then I don't know what realm, like, someone would go out of their way to be like, fuck you, you're sober.
Your sobriety.
Yeah.
I don't know that I expected hate. I think I expected rejection. Like, you get kicked out of the cool kids club if you weren't going to, drink a gallon of Coors Light every weekend.
Right.
So, yeah. And there has been that fallout. I have lost friends. My relationships are 100% different than they were 2 years ago. I don't have the same circle of friends. The people I thought I was close to, they were drinking buddies. They weren't like tried and true, thick and thin friends, and that's been.
What was that like?
Disappointing. But it's so interesting. I think we drink because we want that camaraderie. We want to feel connected, but it's such a false connection. And when you take away the alcohol, then it's gone. Or sometimes you think you have this really deep, meaningful conversation with somebody, and then you wake up the next day and you can't remember it. Like, there's just so much. It's just so ingenuine, I guess. And so I was disappointed in myself that I invested years and years of what I thought was, valuable friendship, and it really was just drinking buddies. So that was hard, which leads me to year 2. So I launched the website, and then I'm lonely, and my truth is out. I don't have anything to hide, but I also don't have any sober friends. And I live in central Illinois, in the capital of Illinois. So it's, not a small town, but I don't know a single soul who's sober. And that was really alienating. And even year 2, I wasn't really super comfortable going to parties and outings and back to bars when in the various COVID situations when we could. I know I went to one party and I texted you.
I love this story.
I didn't want to go, and I was really apprehensive, and I cried on the way there in the car. My husband was like, what is happening? He's such a good sport. So we get to the party, and I've got my NA, O'Doul, whatever I had, I don't know. And I'm chugging down. And then I see the dessert table. And I ate 5 desserts, and I think I had 3 NA beers. And I'm like, okay, it's time to go.
And you're like so bloated from the beer.
I felt terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really drink NA beer. It's nice to have, in those kind of circumstances. The 5 desserts, I don't know. I had nothing else to do with my hands. So I was just like shoving all the food in, drank all the NA beer. I'm like, okay, time to go. We were there 2 hours. I came home and wanted to die. I texted you and you're like, great job. I'm like, no.
Yeah, you're like, it was awful. I ate 5 desserts. And I'm like, nope, that means success. It means you made it. You beat it.
Yeah. And it, it's like growing a new shell, like the first time you're still really raw, and the second time is better, and the third time. And I'm an introvert, so I really relied on alcohol as a social lubricant. I needed that. I needed a pregame to not feel super
weird walking in.
Conscious. Yeah. Aware of everything. And so I think it's even harder for introverts to go out into the world sober. Pre-gaming was my jam. I pre-gamed everything. And then
what was the response at the party though? I don't even remember. Did anybody even talk to you about being sober, or was it known?
I mean, I had a mug of, it would have been known because my website would have been out, but I had a mug of beer. Like, people don't watch you the way you think they watch you. No, they don't. You get all up in your head. People don't care. They're on their way.
The only ones that do care are the ones that are like trying to take it to another level too.
Yeah.
And that's usually like 1 or 2, maybe,
Yeah, and I was a jackass about people who didn't drink when I drank, because it was, I felt it reflecting back on me.
Right.
I'd say this stupid shit like, oh, I don't trust people who don't drink. Yeah. You're not drinking. You weren't even one.
Totally.
Like, looking back, I hate that I did that to anybody for any reason, because it's ridiculous. But so yeah, I was really lonely and decided I needed to build a circle, and that's hard to do outside of AA. I don't know how you make friends as an adult with or without drinking? It's hard.
In a pandemic.
So,
there's so many things, so many like levels to that. Yeah.
Yes. So I started reaching out to people online. I was trying to make connections, and that's hard too. But I was, trying to have engaging conversations with people and go a little bit deeper than you typically would just without a lot of effort. And that fall, I decided I really wanted to take a trip, but I wanted to do something healthy. And I found this website for Brave Retreats, and it was in North Carolina, and I didn't know anybody going. I thought, perfect. I don't know anybody. It's really going to push me to, travel alone and have all these new experiences sober. And it was terrifying. And the first 5 minutes, I totally regretted it. It was me and 9 strangers. I was like, what have I done? Like, I'm an introvert and I'm in a house with it was like the real world, sober style. Like when 9 strangers.
Isn't it so weird when
together.
you walk in with your suitcase and you feel so stupid? You're like, oh God, what have I fucking done?
Yeah. And several of them knew each other and nobody knew me. And it was so hard for 5 minutes. Yeah. And then it was amazing. And everybody started talking. And that was really the first time in my adult life that I'd been in a room of people who understood my experience, who understood the guilt and the shame and all the ugliness I felt inside, and didn't judge it and could match every story. I could tell a terrible story, they'd have one worse. And there's such a freedom and liberation in that. So that was really amazing. And we went hiking in the Blue Ridge Mountains and we did yoga and we meditated, and it was an amazing experience. It really changed my perception of sobriety because these women were amazing. They were successful and beautiful and funny and smart, and they were all sober, and they're all my friends. And
I also feel like at the beginning of your sobriety too, like you were doing all of the homework. You were reading, remember? You're like, I read that book and I read this book and I joined this and I'm all doing this and I'm journaling and I'm this. And you like were needing that like that human part of it. Very much so.
People.
Yeah.
Yes. I had all the things.
You can only like quit lit so far, which is good. Like that's important, obviously.
Quit lit is amazing. Yes. And podcasts. And that's what I got out of your podcast is like, these people are friends and they're still funny and they still have like a good life. And that gave me hope. But I really did fill my early days with nonstop podcasts and quit lit.
And you got burned out. And then it feels like work, like when you're like trying to absorb all of it to be like the best sober student, it's overwhelming because you're just like, there's no like winning this. It's like the only, you win every day that you don't drink. It's like, that's it.
I wanted the 4.0 though. Yeah. I wanted the 4.0 GPA for sobriety. Read all the books. Like, quiz me, I know the answer.
Yeah.
And that gets old. That you can only do that so long. And these women had read the books I read. They, we just had such a foundation out of the gate. And so I had an 8-hour layover in Asheville, North Carolina, and I'm sitting in the airport and I'm thinking, this fundamentally changed me. I am not going home the same person I came. I have new confidence. I have new social skills. And I spent a weekend with 9 people I don't know, and I'm an introvert. Like, and I didn't get drunk to do it. It was really remarkable. And so, did
you guys all stay in the same house?
Yeah.
So it's like we get PJs on. Like they see the full Lori, right? Like, yeah. Which is like there's something really beautiful about that, right? When everyone like rolls out of bed and getting their coffee and sitting in their jammies. Like that's the kind of connection I think everybody in sobriety is craving, is that like you see all parts of me.
For sure. And so I decided in that airport, I'm going to go home and build this. I can't find it. It's incumbent upon me to build it. And Barack Obama has a quote about that. And I think I put that on my website somewhere, but I just felt a tremendous responsibility to myself and to everybody else who I know is out there looking for people exactly the way that I was looking. And so when I first got home, there were 3 people that I knew locally just through like Instagram and Facebook. And so I sent them a message and I said, hey, do you guys want to meet up for breakfast? Now, again, totally outside my comfort zone. I've never in my adult life done this. And they were like, yes, people are just so hungry for connection. And so we met and had breakfast and we talked for hours. And I told them about the retreat and it was amazing. And I'd also been a little bit guarded about the retreat, like at work and stuff. I had to take time off to go, and I called it a wellness retreat. It's a wellness retreat, a women's event. And why? I'm still like guarded about that. But people are asking a lot of questions like, now what kind of retreat was this? And what were you doing? So I went back to my website and I told the whole story. So it was, the whole story. And so again, I outed myself very publicly. And again, I pull the covers over my head. I have this habit of updating my website and then running to bed and pulling the covers up. But as the universe would have it, I had taken yoga that summer with my daughter and loved our instructor. And then she left the studio, and we were Facebook friends, and she saw my post about my retreat, and she reached out and said, "Hey, I'm in recovery too."
Oh, wow.
Mind blown. I had no idea.
Sure.
None. And the beauty of a yoga teacher is she has a studio and she has clients. She has this built-in community. So I was almost in tears, like, oh my God, like I've been looking for community and you already exist. And so we became fast friends, and she's amazing. She started a yoga for recovery class. So it's very
I love that.
Loosely based on AA. So we share, and then we do some yoga and we meditate, and it is amazing. And it's women only. And so that has been fantastic. And then an outgrowth of that was we have an every Friday coffee meetup. And so some of the women get together every Friday morning to meet for coffee and just sit around and talk. And sometimes it's about sobriety, and sometimes it's about, our husbands or boyfriends or kids, or they're my friends now. It's genuine friendship, and it's rooted in sobriety, but it's grown to be so much more than that. And I was telling this group about my retreat, and one of the girls said, "Oh, yeah, I need a retreat. Like, that sounds so great. I need to do this." And I thought, I work in marketing. I know how to do event planning. I can do a retreat. I mean, I've scheduled conferences that 4,000 people attend.
You're organized. I don't know if anybody remembers from the Discord, but Lori ran the book club. And then to her disappointment, we never read the books, but she always did.
People were so excited about that book club, and then, they weren't.
Yes.
So book club. How did I not mention that? That was part of my story too. Discord. That was another step in the journey. That was fun too. So I scheduled a retreat at an Airbnb kind of out in the country, about 20 miles from where we live, and invited everybody who I knew was sober. And it sold out. I had the yoga teacher. She was doing yoga. I scheduled a sound bath. We did facials. We ordered pizza. And it's literally a slumber party. And the day before, we got like 15 inches of snow, which is unheard of in this area. Thanks, global warming. So I had like 4 cancellations. My husband volunteered to drive his SUV and pick everyone up. So we didn't have to cancel the event. So we ended up with like 7, but it was, again, there's something magical about getting like-minded women in a room. And we had so much fun. And so that was how I came up with the idea of a sober slumber party, because I approached that like a retreat. And I thought, you know what, we're going to have sober slumber parties. We order pizza, we do facials, we talk and laugh and cry and share, and have breakfast and yoga and meditate, do all the things. And it was such a broad, diverse group. Some people had like a couple of weeks, some people had a couple of years. And there's so much you can share. I mean, every year is different, but I really feel for the people who are only a few weeks in. I remember how raw and terrifying that felt.
100%.
And so to bring them in, it felt like taking in a baby bird. Like, my experience could have been so much different than what it was. And it's fine. I'm glad everything played out the way it did. But now
I think it's so important at retreats like that, just to see other people, like really see them. I remember, I've only been to one retreat, and it was like a creative social media manager retreat. And I went because I just felt alone in the space, and the people that were throwing it were really aspirational. And I just took so much out of it, just seeing other women doing it and like being successful at it. It just gave me a renewed sense of confidence.
Yep.
And there's like something you can't get from the internet, like that's something you need to see in real life. Is like, I saw these women in their pajamas complaining about clients, and like the real behind the curtain part of it. And I imagine that's what it's like at a sober retreat as well. It's like you get to see all sides of it.
Yes. So everyone shows up, in a cute outfit and their hair done, and 100%. And by the end of the night, they're ugly crying.
It's like 3 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah. And like some devastating thing that happened, and maybe something they've never even told anybody. I mean, that happened too. Like, it just feels there's a different vibe, and I'm more comfortable sharing in that kind of space than I ever would be in a different one. So yeah, there's so much power and so much beauty, and it just feels like a gift you can give people who are early in sobriety. But I mean, I get as much out of it too. I mean, I did it for very selfish reasons, but the girl that asked about the retreat and said she needed to go to one, that sparked the idea. But I need it for myself too. I take as much away as anything that I might
Totally. Get. Yeah. And then you have these like I still talk to some of the people that I went to the retreat with, and I know if I could, like, we would visit one another. Like I had seen almost every single person outside of the retreat, like years later. If they came to New York, I would go and, meet them. And like when I traveled, I went and stayed at one of their houses. Like you have this like weird connection. I'm not as close with them now, but I know if I texted literally any of them, like they would respond right away, pick up like nothing. And I don't know, there's like some weird chemistry that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's pretty amazing. And that's why I want to keep doing it. I want to just keep creating those spaces for people to find that kind of connection, and then to keep it going. Because like I said, the people who were at the first retreat, we now meet for coffee, we go to yoga, it's a thing. Like they're my friends now. Yeah. It's not a one and done by any means.
Yeah. So what has been the most surprising thing that you've learned about yourself in sobriety?
That's a hard question. I guess I'm surprised I got away with what I did for as long as I did. I mean, looking back on my behavior, I did a lot of stupid stuff. I hurt a lot of people, made a lot of bad decisions. And I kind of can't believe it lasted as long as it did. No. And I think maybe, I don't know if I was waiting for somebody to call me out, my husband or something. I don't know. I never really had I never had a DUI. I never lost a job. I never lost my family. There weren't really any social repercussions. So I guess I'm lucky my daughter said something when she did, because I don't know what it would have taken.
What's your relationship with her like today?
Amazing. She's 14. She'll be 15. Actually, she'll be 15 on St. Patrick's Day. She is amazing. She had a really hard year in 2020, went through a lot. I didn't know that she was struggling with anxiety and depression, and that was manifesting in some disordered eating. And I didn't know. And that was very hard for me, because in my mind, I was so caught up in my sobriety that I missed all of that. And that was hard. I think to some extent you have to be selfish with your sobriety to get through that stage. But I had tremendous guilt, and that took a lot of working through. And she told me, I didn't want you to find out about this because I knew you'd blame yourself, and it's not your fault. But
and you did.
That was hard. Of course I did. I still do, even though I give lip service. I'm like, no, I don't blame myself anymore.
Yeah.
It's hard. It was bad. But yeah, she's doing better. She, we got therapy and medicine and yoga, and she has a boyfriend, and her grades are good. And I'm so proud of her. And she's amazing.
What has been the worst part about sobriety? I think the beginning is the worst part.
Oh yeah, for sure. That first 90 days, I wouldn't do that again.
Oh, I don't want to do that again either.
I'm grateful that I've never had a blip. I'm a very black and white person. When I make up my mind, I'm done. And that's not to say, that sounds like I couldn't ever have an issue. I could, but I have not. And I can't imagine drinking again and then going through that first 90 days again. That's hard. It's hard physically. It's hard mentally. Oh, I just remember feeling like my skin was inside out. Like I just wanted to climb out of my body, and it was bad. I don't want to do that again. That was hard. And I think some of the friendships that I've lost where they've changed. That's hard. Even with family members, things are different.
Yeah. Do you still think about drinking ever?
Not in a longing way. Mm-mm.
When do you think that stopped for you?
Maybe after year one. I think a big part of the anti-grace thing is changing the way you think about alcohol. And so I truly think of it as poison. And so when people say to me, you're never going to drink again, I think, no. And I'm also not going to smoke or I don't know, drive without a seatbelt.
Right.
Or, I want to keep myself safe and healthy. Sure. And I have the tools to do that now. So yeah, I don't long for it. And I don't drink NA beer or alcohol-free wine or anything. I think in a pinch, if I was going to a party, I might grab some, but it doesn't even taste good. I think after a while, it truly is an acquired taste.
Yeah.
And if you think about, if you ever tasted beer when you were a kid, it was foul.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I didn't grow up around alcohol. My parents didn't drink at all, but I had a great uncle who had beer. And I remember I smelled it and it smelled like sour wheat. And I thought, oh my God, I will never drink this. This is so gross. Fast forward. I
yeah,
did.
of course.
Spoiler
You're like
alert,
stealing it from your parents. Yeah. Even though it doesn't taste good. I don't think hard alcohol ever tasted good to me.
But we have to hide the flavor with every,
did it.
And that's how I think, like mentally, that's how I think about alcohol. It's like, it's a poison we have to flavor to make it taste good. And so, no, I don't crave it. I crave the escape. I definitely still have times when I want to numb out, and I've developed not all the best coping. I can scroll for hours on my phone to numb out, so it's not perfect by any means, but no, I don't crave alcohol. I do still crave the escape.
Yeah. And that's hard. We were just doing a questions episode and somebody was asking I'm 4 years in and I'm eating too much sugar and I'm realizing that, this could be addiction transference. And it's like, well, you got to find the balance between how harmful the newer the healthier coping mechanism is, right? My addictions transfer all the time. I just have to be aware of it,
sure.
Depending on my stress levels, right?
Yeah. And we didn't talk about that sugar thing, but for the first year, I ate ice cream from the carton every night, like a crazy person. It was bad. My family was a little worried about me, but whatever gets you through, ice cream's not going to kill me the way that alcohol might have. So
totally.
And I got over it. I'm done with the ice cream part. But yeah, addiction transference is real. Mm-hmm. My phone is a big part of my unhealthy coping. So yeah, I feel a little bit like Pop Goes the Weasel. Like I hit alcohol, that's done. And then ice cream popped up and I got that. And then, I feel like it's probably always going to be something. I'm never cured per se, but my life is infinitely better than it was.
I also think that we have like an escape culture, right? So like we're never really supposed to we can have like bad meme days, right? But you're never supposed to have a bad day, or it's like not acceptable. And
I think part of that is like part of the mom culture too. And I just had that this week. We had a really rough week at work and I came home in a terrible mood and I was being civil and social and appropriate, but I was in a tough spot. And I had one more conference call still that night. And I kind of told my daughter in a nutshell what was going on. And then my husband called and we argued on the phone and I yelled at him and he hung up on me and he didn't know any of the backstory. And so when he got home, I had to mute the conference call and say, hey, I'm having a really hard time at work and I'm sorry I snapped at you. Mm-hmm. And my daughter was a little bit resentful. And so I had to just ask her, and I didn't read this in a parenting book or anything, but I'm like, can I not have a bad day? Like, I'm having a bad day and I'm sorry if I can't, at some point I just need to be real and be like, this
leave me the fuck alone. Yeah. I say to TJ sometimes, like, I walk in the door and he's like ready to talk, right? And I'm like overstimulated and I have to turn to him and I'm like, I don't want to talk to you right now. And I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but like, I don't want to talk to anyone right now. I just want you to leave me alone for like a while. Like that Carrie Bradshaw episode's very real. Like just shut the fuck up for like 20 minutes when I walk in the door and leave me alone.
That is real. Yeah. And when you don't come home to an empty house, like when everyone's there and ready for you.
Yeah.
And you're not ready for them.
Yes.
And add a puppy to the mix. Like,
okay, so tell us about the puppy.
Oh, the puppy. He was from a breeder who died of COVID and he needed a home. It was through a coworker. And so we agreed to take him.
And what do you think? Life-changing or what?
Not in a good way.
The puppy annoying?
He's insane.
Yeah.
He's not potty trained. He barks too much. He bites too much. But, he's a baby. He's like 4 months old. So it'll get better.
Yeah. It'll get better.
Yeah. No,
but he's cute,
adorable.
I bet.
So
yeah.
Cute. He is so
cute, but so
if
naughty.
If he weren't, we'd have trouble.
All right. So I want to rewind a little bit to when you said that you met. So you messaged these chicks online who live near you because friendship is a big theme in the questions that we get asked. Yes. So I want you to really break it down for me. So you message these chicks, you're anxious, but you message these chicks anyway.
Yes.
Walk me through setting up like a hang with them, and then like, were you nervous when you walked into like said restaurant, or like what was the vibe?
Yeah, that would be my number one question from early sobriety is how the fuck do you make friends? I had no idea. I think the best tool I have found is when people on sober sites or on Instagram have a thread that says, where are you from?
Mm-hmm.
And then you put your location. That's how I found these people. So, I'd always respond with where I'm from and try to connect with them, maybe take it offline or into DMs or whatever, exchange phone numbers and start texting. I was super nervous. I wanted to cancel. That's kind of my MO is I cancel plans. Yeah, I would have pulled the plug. And then I thought, no, I'm just going to do it. And it's going to be horrible. And I'm going to muddle through and I'm going to hate every minute of it. I went in with that mindset. So the fact that they were delightful was like, oh my gosh, what? Like I can enjoy social interaction sober. I didn't know.
Yeah.
So we had breakfast and we talked for hours and it was great. And that's what I found is, I don't know if it's my own mindset, but I have a tendency to assume the worst and be anxious about it, worry about it, and then have a really good time.
Mm-hmm. I think there's always like
when I say
one person at the table who's like more secure with themselves than I am. That will just like make it normal for everyone.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's what I meant about it's like a process of growing a shell, and like, oh, I didn't die at breakfast. Yeah. Maybe I could do it again,
Yeah. Yes. And then the next time you look forward to it.
Yeah. 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 And it is a process and it is hard and there's no quick fix, it's just a matter of reaching out and taking the initiative and being a little bit vulnerable. Luckily, I've only had good experiences. Nobody has shot me down. Nobody's ever been unkind. No one's.
Well, I'm trying to think
everybody.
If I've ever like been like actually shut down, like, no, I don't want to hang out with you. And I don't think that's ever happened. I feel like there's been times where like we can't get the stars to align like logistically, but there's never just been like an outright like vibe where I'm like, oh, they don't want to be my friend.
I've been reaching out to a lot of people online who I think are in the area just about the sober slumber parties. And there was one person who I said, hey, we're about 45 minutes apart. Do you want to connect? Because we have a really growing community here. We're doing a lot of stuff. And she's like, I suppose. Like, never mind. You're uninvited.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to say there have been a couple of people that don't seem as enthused as I am. And I'm like, oh, okay, like maybe they don't want to be my friend. Like, that's okay.
Yeah, I'm going to need you to be a little bit excited about it or you're uninvited.
Yeah, or like ironic or like sarcastic about it. And then I'll know like I'm amongst good people, Like I need a little bit of like sadism.
Yes.
All right. So tell us about the retreats. So are they in your area or are they all over the place? What's the deal? Because people are going to want to sign up.
I hope so. The first one was in my area. So in Central Illinois, and that was in February. And the next one is in May. And that one is in Utica, which is about an hour south of Chicago in a very foresty, naturey outdoor area.
Okay.
So we're going to hike and do all kinds of outdoorsy stuff. And that will be different than the first one, but I hope exciting and engaging. And my goal is to have sober slumber parties in a lot of different areas. So I want to go to St. Louis and Chicago and maybe Indianapolis, because I know there are pockets of people just looking for ways to connect. Mm-hmm. And I just need to find a few and find the Airbnb and then create the slumber party. And the rest kind of takes care of itself. And the most amazing thing has been everything I've needed, everything I've asked of the universe. And that sounds very woo-woo, and I'm not a woo-woo person, but everything I've needed, I just ask for and I get, not like $1 million, but when I have an idea and I mention it to somebody, they say, oh, I can do that. Or I know this person. And every single time these doors have opened in ways that I just never expected. Mm-hmm. And I tell my husband, I'm like, God, it's amazing to me the way that everything just happens the way it's supposed to. And I think it's beautiful. I don't even know how to describe it. It just, every time it happens, it blows my mind.
I think like it's innate that we want to help, right? Like people want to help. If there's an ask and, I even notice it like within like I'm in like 75,000 group chats now with students, like co-students. And if someone has a problem, like literally 40 people respond. It's like we want to help someone in need, you can definitely relate to that. You don't want anybody to feel alone. And So I'm glad that I haven't gotten like my balls up to host like a squad retreat yet, mostly because I'm
I wish you would. That would be so
insanely
amazing.
disorganized, as we all know. I'm extremely organized and overwhelmed all the time. So maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't.
A squad retreat would be so fun.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe next semester. Okay.
Put me on the planning committee. I'm all about it.
Yes, I will definitely need your help. You are like planning wizard. Okay, I want to ask you our lightning round questions.
Okay, ready.
What is your favorite seltzer brand and flavor?
I don't like seltzer.
Oh, what?
I think I know. I think
you
I've
tell
tried
me
every.
this?
I don't like it.
What do you drink?
I like Diet Dr. Pepper.
Ooh,
I like Diet Pepsi.
solid.
Ice cold Diet Pepsi. That's it. I drink a lot of water. Super boring, but I mean, I have some like bubbly and stuff in the fridge, but I don't like it.
What kind of tea do you drink? Do you still do the tea thing?
Not regularly, but I like Twinings.
Okay.
And there's a fruity flavor. It's like strawberry, pomegranate, something. And you have to order it on Amazon. I can't find it in stores anymore. But fruity tea is my jam.
All right. I can get into that. All right.
Okay.
You kind of answered this one before, but how do you make friends in sobriety?
Online. And then try to make the jump to real life. And it takes
like
vulnerability.
you have
and
to make the jump.
It takes
have to make the jump.
Initiative.
Yeah.
I think everybody's sitting there waiting for somebody else to do it. So you have to be the one to be like, hey, do you want to grab coffee?
And then not flake.
Do you want to exchange? Yeah. Or even just, hey, do you want to exchange cell phone numbers? I'm really good at texting. Or, I want to be available if you need anything. So it just takes, you got to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Okay. What are some tools and resources you'd like to share with the squad?
Annie Grace is my number one. That was a game changer for me. It really changed the way I think about alcohol, which is huge. Total mindset shift. So her 30-day live alcohol experiment, I would recommend. All the Quit Lit podcasts.
What are some of your faves? Because you really have read all of it.
My very favorite is Blackout by Sarah Heppola. So we had a big laugh about that in book club. That even made its way to the pod commercial, which I love, because that was us poking fun at you and you're a good sport. So that was good.
That was another book I didn't finish. I think I read all of those.
But you own that. I love that.
I read like everything I could get my hands on when I first got sober. And at the time there was quite a few, but not as much as there is now. And so I feel like now trying to go back and reread halfway through the book, I'm like, I fucking read this. Like I remember this, but I don't remember this.
I read Drinking a Love Story when I was drunk and I didn't remember reading it. So yeah, there's some of that. Quite Like a Woman. Holly Whitaker, of course. Laura McCowan is a big one. I like her podcast and I like her book. They're the luckiest. I'm part of the Lucky Club. And then there's an offshoot called Pandemic Sober Squad, which is very active. And I'm going in April to California. They're calling it the PSS camp.
Okay. Fun.
So that's another retreat that I'm going to in April. And two of my friends, one from Texas, so I met through Weight Watchers, is going to join me there. And then a friend I met in Wisconsin, she's going as well. So it's interesting to me that you can make these sober friendships all across the country and then actually meet in real life. I mean, it feels at the time like far away and not very real. But when I got home from my North Carolina retreat, I reached out to my friend in Wisconsin. I was like, hey, do you want to meet in Galena? That's the northern tip of Illinois. And that would be kind of in the middle. She's like, yeah. So we're total strangers in real life. We'd only been texting. And so we met in the middle and spent the weekend together in an Airbnb and had a great time. Went out for dinner and had mocktails and went shopping and it was amazing. And so I think the important thing to stress is that connections online, maybe don't feel as real, but then you just have to take the next step and invite them places and go on trips with them and do crazy
One of
things.
my closest friends I met through the squad and like she came to New York with her partner, and so I met them for dinner, and it was like it dawned on me like 20 minutes in that I'd never met her in real life. Like that I was crazy? Like, oh, this is weird. I mean, I think it dawned on me when we sat down because I was like, oh, she's a lot like smaller and like she's like a little teeny tiny person in real life, and you only see somebody from like FaceTime up, right? Yeah. But it was so weird because I was like, we just sat there and talked for like 4.5 hours, and we could have talked for like 4 days more. And
Totally.
it was so strange that I was like, it's weird that we've never met before. And I'm glad that we did.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not even weird, you know, once you like,
No.
you know,
Yeah.
I spent Christmas last year with
yeah.
somebody that I met on the internet. It's fine.
You did?
Yeah. Like a squad member was like, I don't want to go to my family's house for Christmas. I want to go to New York. And so I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's hang out. And so we like spent 4 days in a hotel room together and never met each other once. And it like occurs to you on the way there that you're like, I'm meeting a stranger. Is this Tinder swindler? Like, no, it's just,
Right, yeah.
but it's weird for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. And that's what my family said when I went to North Carolina. Like, I hope you don't get murdered.
Yeah.
Hope it's not a
Yeah.
cult.
I think people think it's like weirder than, I don't know. It's not weird once you do it.
No, it was totally natural and relaxing, but it's magical. I can't get enough of it, which is why I'm going to California and I'm trying to do my own. And yeah,
Okay.
more and more and more. Imagine that. My addictive
Are you
personality,
a
I want
retreat
more.
junkie now?
I am. I've transferred my addiction to retreat.
Okay, well, that's a good one. All right. How has your life changed / gotten better in sobriety? I think I kind of asked you this, but I don't. Tell me how it's gotten better, though.
Yeah.
It's way different. You're way different now than last time we talked.
Different. Yeah, I totally am. I really am. Everything is different. I have more confidence.
Way more.
My social skills have improved. I still don't love small talk, but I can totally do it. And it's easy to find commonality with people who have the shared experience.
Mm-hmm. My favorite thing about you is that you're funny as fuck.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You know, in high school, some people are voted most likely to succeed. Not me. I was best sense of humor, which is really paid off for me in my career. No. Yes, that is true. That's a true story. My life is better. My relationships are more genuine. My daughter can trust me. I keep my word. I don't embarrass her. My husband can trust me. I come home when I say I'm going to. I don't drink and drive. Mm-hmm. My work performance is better because I don't go to work hungover. Yeah, I'm a better person. I feel better. I look better. And speaking of that, I didn't talk about this, but I think sober treats are fun. And so I've invested more money in I got laser treatment on my face because I had these little broken blood vessels that I think made me look like a drunk. Mm-hmm. And I very much don't want to look like a drunk. And so one of the girls I met at yoga is an esthetician. And so she lasered my cheeks and made my veins go away. And I spend a lot of money on that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I feel great about it. Zero guilt because I'm not out at bars wasting mm-hmm. my money. So mm-hmm. I love that.
I love that too. You look great. Okay.
Thanks.
Do you want to share a hot mess story with us? Hot mess, low light. So maybe a baby story. Only if you want to.
This is funny. My favorite hot mess story is the one where the girl ate the succulent.
Yes. It's still the greatest of all time. One. The lady that ate the plant.
Until I cried.
Yep.
I played it for my husband and my daughter. I'm like, you guys got here. I'm crying. They're laughing. We're all. So it ends. And I say to my husband, what do you think my hot mess story would be? And he's like, honestly, none of it was very funny.
Oh. Isn't it funny later, though?
I mean, we were laughing and we were having a funny moment. And then he really brought the room down with that one. This is very early in my drinking career. I said things sort of went south in graduate school. So I had been out with my grad school friends and I came home drunk. We had this tiny apartment, 1 bedroom, 1 bath. And so my husband was already in bed and I came home drunk and I was going to go to the bathroom before I came to bed and he heard the closet door open. So he got up to check on me and I was sitting in the laundry basket going pee. And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, well, I'm going pee.
Like, leave me alone.
Like, you're in the laundry basket.
That's a good one.
So yeah, that's as much as you're going to get out of me.
All right. I feel like that's tame and I feel like you have more, but I won't pry.
Oh my God. Right. I have 20 years more.
Yes. Okay. So where can our squad find you and sign up for all the things?
Yes. My website is Get Connected AF, alcohol free or as fuck, getconnectedaf.com. And there is a section on that devoted to some sober slumber parties. Mm-hmm. So look for that as I build them out and go to new locations and think of fun new things for us to do. But I really want to keep doing those and get more people involved.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about Insta, all that? Are you doing that?
I'm on Instagram, Get Connected AF as well. And Facebook, I'm just Lori Harlan. I haven't really done anything on there.
Okay. Well, that's great. Well, thanks for being a guest.
Thanks for having me. This was so fun. This is like I think you're a celebrity, and I feel so honored to be here.
Closet troll for life.
Serious.
Sad grad school closet troll.
I love it. It's perfect.
All right. Well, I don't have anyone to do an outro with, so you're going to have to do it with me. Do you remember?
Oh my God, I do.
Okay.
You get it started.
Until we meet again.
Be nice to yourselves.
Don't forget.
Hangovers suck.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. Every review helps other listeners find us. Music by Dead Go West. Art by Kate Sander. For show notes and resources, check out seltzersquad.com.